Right, so I've been visited yet again by the, the unwelcome guest, the unwelcome thing that stalks us all, the Grim Reaper. Always seems to catch me by surprise. And at least, like with the people and the things that I love, it's always a surprise when something happens and suddenly I lose somebody or something. So recently, my cat suddenly, became ill. Had fluid, continuously build up in its in its chest cavity, making it hard for the cat to breathe. Took him to the vet, had the fluid extracted a couple of times, but in the end, that wasn't enough, and the cat passed away last Sunday. And this cat was very special to me. Sort of helped me give love to something the way that we want to love ourselves. Sometimes it's easier to love a pet because they need it, and we're there, and it's easy to love them. And so by loving them, it kind of like shows us how to love ourselves. And so animals can really give us a great gift, because the greatest thing that I'm realizing in life is it's the love that we give. It's more about what we give than what we receive. It's like you get older and you just kind of receiving love is nice, but it's not something that you can really count on. And the best way to learn how to give yourself love is by giving love, and then so you're never really lacking. And I think it's a lot of people who seek gurus and religious teachers, and they do a lot of advanced spiritual techniques and all this stuff, but I think just a cat can be a better teacher than an enlightened guru from India or some other mystical place. Sometimes the things you can learn a lot from children, from watching nature, from loving an animal. Sometimes that's really like an overlooked place. When we really tune in to an animal, it can teach us so much about nonverbal communication and sort of transcending into a softer place to give comfort to something other than ourselves. And in doing that, we learn how to give it to ourselves, give comfort and love. It's whatever we give, it's like we automatically receive. And if you're lucky, you learn this. throughout life. But yeah, just some thoughts here I wrote down. I figured I'd share them. Every moment something dies and something new is born. Can it really then be said that death is more permanent than life? The question is, what has lived and what has died? Is the thing that has lived the thing that has died? Is the thing now dead the thing that once was alive? If not, what is the thing that has died, and where is the thing that has once lived? I'm going to read that again because I got a little lost with my own writing here. Every moment something dies and something new is born. Can it really be said then that death is more permanent than life? The question is, what has lived and what has died? Is the thing that has lived the thing that has died? Is the thing now dead the thing that was once alive? If not, what is the thing that has died, and where is the thing that has once lived? So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense to anyone else but me right now. But it's like, every moment we sort of every moment we depart and we're sort of born anew. And so, it's sort of like, where is that life force that was once here a moment ago, and where is it now? And where is my pet that has died, that was alive? Where is that life that was alive, and now what remains is this lifeless body. So the lifeless body is obviously not the same thing as the thing that once was alive. So if it's not, then what is the thing that I'm looking at now that is dead? And where is this life? Where is the life, the living thing? And so I think we sometimes get fixated on the shape, that life takes. And I think, whatever it is that life is, it seems to be some sort of principle of existence, that all life has a certain never-ending property, because it's more than a single being. It's something that is within the fabric of the universe itself. And so it's like every being that has ever lived is sort of written in that fabric. And whatever shape we see in the material realm, that is kind of like a reflection of the fabric, the deeper nature of the fabric of existence. And so life and death, it seems like they kind of complement each other, because it creates a world of a non-static world, an ever-changing world, where everything sort of dies and lives and is reborn. Every movement is sort of like the death of a previous shape, and it takes on a different shape. And like, we get kind of fixated on the physical, but the physical is really just it's an idea that sort of makes sense on the surface, but when you really kind of break it down, what actually is material reality, it all kind of falls apart, and it makes less and less intuitive sense, and it becomes very difficult to really measure what is one object versus another. So anyhow, just sort of contemplating my thoughts. Another great gift that my cat Romeo has given me, as I was really able to grieve really, really good, during the 7 days up to his passing, and then at his passing, I let myself feel my feelings, and it really gave me space to really process a lot. And it's something that we don't always get to do when a loved one is suffering and dying. Is a lot of times we feel like we have to hold our feelings in, and hold in our tears, hold in our sorrow and our grief. But the more I gave myself to my grief, was the more that I was able to make peace with that feeling, with the feeling of watching the suffering of something that I loved, and then watching it as it departures. There's a saying that you got to feel it to heal it, and I very much subscribe to that. The more you allow yourself to feel your feelings, and you make the sounds that go along with those feelings, you cry the sorrow that you feel, you express it physically, then it doesn't get trapped inside of you, and then your heart becomes much lighter. And I think tears, really crying and tears give you a better relief than any drug can. Any sort of unnatural intervention can. So, but it takes some courage to do it, especially if there's other people around. But at a certain point, when you realize what's important and what isn't important, you realize whatever someone else thinks about you, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter if they think that you're some weak, pathetic person or whatever, because you openly express yourself and you openly express your feelings. I'm not gonna, when I'm on my deathbed, I'm not gonna look back and think about when the people that judged me. I'm gonna think about the times when I did the thing that I wanted to do, that required courage to do those things, and then I did those fucking things. That's what I'm gonna look back at, and those are gonna be the things that mattered in my life. It's when I did what was in my heart to do, and I let the feelings be expressed that needed to be expressed. So anyhow, just thought I'd record some of this. Gives me an opportunity to kind of process it verbally. And I think I've said what I needed to say. Anyhow, have a good one.